once you reach the age of 65, which that ain't that far. I mean, if you know 65-year-olds all day long. That's not a very old person.
Yeah.
Once you reach the age of 65, your mortality from a fall that results in a broken hip or femur is 15 to 30%. Just think, it is such a staggering number. So you're over 65, you fall, and that fall results in the break of a femur or hip. There's a 15 to 30% chance you'll be dead within a year. It could be something very acute, like you bang, the fall that's significant enough to do that also bangs your head. It could be that you get a fat embolism, you get a blood clot. It could be that, during the recovery process of this, you just never really get better, you never thrive again. I think a more disturbing statistic is that of all the people who survive, 50% will never again regain the level of function they had before the injury. There are lots of things that account for that. Andy Galpin, who you mentioned a moment ago, talks a lot about this, but a lot of it comes down to foot explosiveness, power. So the reason you're not really afraid of falling, like when was the last time you were walking and your foot caught something and you slipped? Why don't you fall when that happens? You have the power in your foot to readjust when you lose your step. You step off a curb, not realizing it doesn't matter. These are a very, very specific muscle fiber that is responsible for that. It's called the type 2B muscle fiber. That is the first fiber that atrophies when you age. Power is a fraction of what it was 20 years ago. Now, I fight like hell based on the exercises I do to try to keep it as high as possible. So the reason that these, people who are in their 70s are falling all the time is people think it's a balance thing. It's not just a balance thing, right? It's that they're undergoing the same insult you and I undergo on a daily basis, but the difference is their probability of being able to catch it, either through the explosiveness of their foot or their lower leg, coupled with maybe not being able to grab onto something as quickly and adjust, it's a power deficit problem. Jumping is a really important way to generate power. So if you're just doing a vertical jump, that's power. There are lots of exercises that are great for balance. Anything that produces instability is great because it's, for lack of a better term, I've heard it described as problem solving for your foot. So if you think about being on any unstable surface, even if you're just walking on an unstable surface, so if you were to look at a person's foot, their lower leg actually, as they're walking on a surface that's constantly changing, so like a gravel path or something like that, you're going to see, like if this were my lower leg, you would see the musculature of the lower leg constantly adjusting to it. And so, yeah, I really enjoy things that force that type of training.